Okay, we're live. All right, everyone. We're going to give people a few minutes to join from the other stream that we had started. Actually, let me see if I can get this one's link so I can share it with them over there. In the meantime, you can listen to me chew my gum. There we go. Got it. New stream. There we go. Hi, friends. I see you joining. I have too many Safari tabs open. There we go. New stream. There's 120 people over here. Hopefully they move over. Oh, shoot.
Copy the type form.
Thank you. Thank you, friends. LOL. New stream link. Hey, friends. Thank you. Spamming your chats. Meet me over here. Okay, there we go. Woo! Excitement. Hello, good evening, everybody. Hi, thank you for popping over to our new stream. Phenomenal. Can you all hear me okay? Audio good? Say hi, tell us your name, tell us where you're at. I'd love to introduce you to my friend, my colleague, very special human in my life. This is Jamie.
Hi.
Jamie's been really supportive over the last 10 minutes while I scrambled to figure out why my recording streaming software wouldn't work. But we're here. I see some questions coming in. I see some of you saying hello to Jamie. Please do say hi to Jamie. And I invited Jamie on my stream. If you follow me on Instagram, actually, this may not be your first time meeting Jamie because we've been hanging out over there. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just Caitlin Victorious X. If you search for Caitlin V, you'll find me. And we've started to have some conversations over there, but obviously YouTube is really my internet home. And so we wanted to take our conversation over to you. And I wanted to bring Jamie here so that y'all could benefit from her wisdom and what she has to share. We're going to kick a cat out. Bye. And one of the reasons that I have invited Jamie here and on Instagram is because we are actually co-hosting a retreat together. Coming up soon in Mexico at the end of March, early April. We're hosting a couples retreat. So I'm curious who here is in a couple. I'd love to just get some reflections in the chat. Tell me couple, single, somewhere in between. It's complicated. T-minus 2 minutes before the cat wants back in, basically. Yep, you get it. So he's saying, hello, Jamie. What is the topic tonight? We've got couples, singles, couples. I would love to have a breakdown percentage-wise. Single, married. Great. Like a dollar bill. I hear you. So we're throwing a retreat for couples, but some of you are asking what the topic is tonight. And the topic is something that we've been reflecting on a lot because it's sort of like in the intersection of our work together. Mm-hmm. And that is self-love. And before you sign off and just go like, actually, I don't think I can get there, or I don't know that that's for me or whatever, like we actually really want to have a conversation with you because both of us work with men. Both of us work with couples, and both of us are here to share with you our experience of men who have a healthy, happy relationship with themselves. So whether you're single or in a couple, this is a super relevant subject, and I hope that you'll stick around and hear us talk about it. And we're actually going to talk about it not just in the intellectual sense that most of us receive that information in and most conversations happen up here. We're actually going to talk about what it looks like to love yourself somatically and in your body. Mm. Do you want to share a little bit about how you came to be in that work and your experience teaching men in their physical experience and not just in their heads?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. And self-love is really something that in my work as a relationship coach and somebody who helps folks come into healthier, more loving, more joyful, more pleasurable relationships, self-love has really emerged as what the foundation of that is. So before we can have a loving, joyful, abundant relationship with someone else, we have to have a really loving relationship with ourselves. And I know that most of Caitlin's followers here are male, so I can share from a female perspective of what it feels like to have and be in the presence of someone who is really embodying self-love. And what showed up in this coaching space is that when our sense of self-love and our sense of self-worth and care for ourselves is shaky, we're more reactive to our partners. We are seeking more than our partners can give. So we're looking to take, and we end up in this relationship that can often have a lot of fights, a lot of really sticky, kind of snippy, sharp conversations, and feel really unfulfilling. Like we're turned off, we're not excited, we're fighting all the time. And we're like, what am I doing? What's going on? What is wrong with my partner? Right?
Yeah. What's wrong over there? And why is sex so lame or not happening at all if it is?
Right. And so we're looking everywhere outside of us when our self-love is shaky. And as soon as we start to direct that energy back in, we start to see what can be fixed, right? How am I taking care of myself? How do I need to be taken care of now? How can I show up for that? And it's hard. It takes work, but it's really a simple tool to just start to direct that love back in. We start to notice that when we're loving ourselves more deeply, our partner sees how to love us.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm taking care of me in the way that I want to be taken care of, my partner, my friend can look at me and say, oh, wow, I see exactly how Jamie wants to be loved and cared for. And we start to model it. And we can also show up better for our partners. So as an example, when my partner is taking really phenomenal care of himself and I am in a funny mood or I have something to move or I have something coming up, his energy is unshakable. He's not reactive to my stress. And so I can experience my stress, have my experience of my day without it turning into a fight between the two of us because it's not personal. He loves himself. He's in a grounded sense of self-love and self-care, and he can hold space and witness my upset, my stress, and then we can come into this really wonderful place. Something that could be an hour-long fight is a 5-minute conversation. The energy moves and we're back into a loving place.
And from there, sex, relating, connecting, satisfaction, joy, pleasure, all possible. But if we're so disconnected from that, then we have to do so much work to even get to that foundation that you're talking about so that we can then have pleasure and joy and satisfaction and great sex.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's hard for men? Because I feel like women, we have our own struggles with self-love, like a lot of shame around our bodies, and our worthiness can be really hung up on I don't know, things that are unique to women.
Yeah.
But I also think that we have a lot more permission to love ourselves. I think that we have a narrative around men in particular that like loving yourself is weak, or like you should be, someone said in the comments, like I'm my least favorite person. Yeah. What do you think it is that like is unique to men in this conversation?
Yeah, this is a really challenging conversation for men. And I really applaud and so deeply respect the men who are willing to and able to look at this conversation. Because in our society, we don't hold a lot of space for male vulnerability and for men to take a moment to be soft with themselves. And we also see a lot of examples in our media, in our entertainment of men who just take, right? They take what they need. Instead of taking a moment to magnetize what they need and actually generate what they need for themselves,
right?
Instead of taking and conquering. And it's not spoken about, right? Women are encouraged to love themselves and care for themselves and really take time on themselves. There's not as much space for men to do this.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Like, and a lot of guys are in that space of, like, I talk all the time to some of my clients who, would have liked to buy a sports car, but they bought a minivan. They would have liked to invest in coaching, but they invested in, martial arts lessons for their kids or something along those lines. And like, I think a lot of really good men are really self-sacrificial, but there's this piece of like continuing to sacrifice. And, we sometimes talk about this idea of like the happy wife, happy life thing, but often like the subtext of that is like, give up everything that you want and need as a man and give it all up for your wife and for your kids. And then we wonder why men are miserable, why they commit suicide, why they have affairs, why they throw themselves into work and become total workaholics, why they are so distant and withdrawn from their families. And, a lot of us didn't have dads that demonstrated great self-love. So like the first man, if we had a man in our life who was our father and he was available to us, what are the chances that he showed himself a lot of love? I know for a fact that mine didn't have a relationship with himself that was very loving. And so I think a lot of men have fathers and a lot of women have fathers who didn't demonstrate that either. And you're right. Like we have a lot of permission to like spend a lot of time putting on creams and and taking good care of ourselves and care of our bodies. And sometimes that can be self-love. Sometimes it's self-hate.
Yeah.
Right. I must poke and prod and pinch and pull and be and stretch and, or to be lovable, I must have a face that looks like this. I suffer from it. But men don't even get that.
Yeah.
It's not even how much time can you spend pampering yourself. If you pamper yourself as a man, you might look weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're vulnerable. You shouldn't have needs. I think ultimately what it comes down to is like loving yourself is so much about caring for your needs, identifying your needs, getting curious about your needs, not going directly to your partner or to someone else to get your needs met. And instead asking like, what can I do to support myself? Do I even need another person to support me? Is it just that I'm not giving myself something?
Yeah.
And if you're not in that conversation with yourself about what your needs are and meeting them, then you're going to constantly be stretched too thin, giving too much, feeling not enoughness. I'm going to read a couple comments. Let's see. I'm curious, is this landing? Is this relating with you all? There's no one's leaving this chat. The numbers are just going up. So I know that y'all are here, you're watching. The comments are a little quiet. So I want to check in with you. Like, is this landing? Are you hearing this? Do you identify with this? Do you see yourself in this? And one of the reasons that we're talking about self-love, particularly to my male audience, is number one, because it's a conversation that people are not having. And number two, at the retreat that we're throwing together, we're dedicating a whole day to self-love. It's a couples retreat. Yeah. It's a retreat for couples. And we're committing the entire first day to just yourself, because you know what? You yourself are the person who shows up in the couple, right? You are not one half of a couple. You are a whole person who contributes to and makes up in their wholeness a part of a relationship. And I like the idea of a relationship as a third entity. It's not me, it's not you. It's the thing that exists between us. Mm-hmm. And when we're both looking at that, we're both draining that to love us instead of us loving us and then putting us in that relationship. Yeah. It's really, really, really powerful. And if you're noticing some challenges in your partnership that appear on the surface to be about a dissatisfying sex life or lack of sex or low quality sex or not enough sex or too much sex, whatever, actually looking at what's going on here instead of what's going on over there might actually be the key. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. We've been fighting. My girlfriend wants me to leave her alone. I focus on her so much. Yeah, especially if you have any abandonment wounds and then you get into an argument or a fight and then they want you to leave. Oh my gosh. And then your spouse or your partner wants you to leave them alone. Yeah. But your abandonment shit is so triggered. Yeah. Then you can't, you're focusing on them because that's the way that you've been wired. And It is really, really worthwhile work. Who wrote that? Dave. Super worthwhile work to like untangle that with the help of a coach, counselor, a therapist. That can be around attachment anxiety and can be very, very life-changing, hard to confront, difficult work. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. It's definitely landing. Ironically, I have to get back to work. Thanks for checking in with us. I don't focus on myself very much. My online fiance has her hand out and gives me nothing. Yeah, that's a good point. If you feel like you're not getting anything from your spouse or your partner or your fiance, actually, what can you be giving to yourself instead of her? Right? Where are you putting yourself second? Stretching myself too fine. Mm-hmm. I know I have self-image issues. How would you define self-love? Great question. Do you want to define self-love?
Yeah. Self-love, I think at first blush sounds really sparkly and very much like, oh, I'm going to like take care of my exterior. And that's a part of it. But really, when we get into self-love, it's loving the parts of ourselves that sometimes feel unlovable. Like at its core, It is caring for and acknowledging and offering like a little smile or a little love inward to really acknowledge the parts of us that are sticky and to love those and to take care of those and say, okay, what's here for me to learn? What is here for me to love? And the more we learn to really love those stickier parts of ourselves, they don't control us as much. They don't control our communication. They don't control our behavior as much. And we can really move through the world from a place of, I know that I'm worthy of love because I love me. I've looked at all of the parts of me and I know that they're lovable. I've experienced that. I've moved through that. And when we do that work to really look at the sticky little bits of ourselves that are hard to love, some parts of ourselves are really hard to love.
Yeah. Universally.
Yeah.
We all have that.
Totally.
No one doesn't have that.
No.
Yeah.
We all have that.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that we share in that, we can step into this really grounded place. And a lot of our insecurity and the behavior that stems from insecurity starts to fizzle out.
Yes.
And we start to meet our own needs. And when our needs are met, we can operate from this place of desire rather than lack, rather than my needs are so unmet. I just need to take from you right now because it's immediate. It's hit an emergency space.
I'm in a crisis. It's like I'm starving and I need you to feed me. And women are very sensitive to that.
They are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good. It creates this dynamic that can feel really yucky. Whereas when we meet our baseline needs, we're operating from this place of I have enough and I also want more. And that is so magnetizing.
So magnetizing. So attractive. Yeah. And you know what? Let's even take it one step back and say like self-love could be as simple as taking care of your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't, and in that relationship of like, there are things about myself that I don't like. There are things about me that I find really, really hard to love. I wish someone else would just love those for me so that I didn't have to do the hard work of finding them lovable. But I will tell you that when someone does show up and try to love you for the things that you hate about yourself, it actually makes you question them.
Yeah.
It actually will make you, that hate that you have for yourself will come up and enter in the relationship because you will start to push them away going, there's no way you could actually love that part about me.
Yeah.
Because I don't love that part about me.
Yeah.
So what's in it for you? Why are you being so nice to me? Fuck off, right? French off. There's only a few words you can really get in trouble for saying on YouTube Live. One of them is that one. No, actually. Oh. Surprisingly, that one's fine. It's the P word that I've gotten kicked off the most number of times for. I know. So finding the parts of you that you, but like everyone, as you're watching this live or recorded, I invite you to take a minute and check in with what you're doing with your body right now. Are you tense? Are you grinding? Are your teeth grinding? Are you taking deep breaths? All of those check-ins. What am I doing with my body? Am I holding it in a way that's uncomfortable? Do I need to like stand up and like shake out because I've been sitting all day? Do I need to have a sip of water? Do I need to move the computer closer to my face or further away, throw on some glasses? Like, what can I do to just take care of my physical body right now? And you'd think, at least I definitely assumed when I started working with men that they were better at that. I thought men had a lot of like bodily intelligence and that they were more aware of their bodies. But I have learned in my work one-on-one with men that it's actually not a gendered thing at all. And actually men are sometimes more separated from their bodies. And a lot of men are actually separated from their manhood in like a pretty serious way. And I wonder, we could do a whole live stream on the relationship between self-pleasure and self-love, because I think a lot of people turn to self-pleasure, AKA masturbation, as a way of experiencing self-love, or at least it's sort of like the hope, but it actually ends up not being that, right? Yeah. They masturbate, but then they don't feel a deep sense of satisfaction. Yeah. Afterward, it ends up feeling empty. Yeah. And actually, I know for a lot of guys, and like raise your hand or write in the chat if this has been your experience, that like after you have an orgasm through masturbation, especially if you're watching porn, you may actually love yourself significantly less than you did when you started. I'm just going to have a second here. What's going on in the chat? Loving yourself and being emotionally responsible. If you're responsible with your needs, then you feel happier and more peaceful. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love the word responsible in there. We all have parts that are hard to love. Please don't project your own shortcomings onto others. Okay. Big projections from Nicholas. Nicholas, I love you, and I'm glad that you have the experience of loving yourself so fully.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that in truth, let's see, what merit do those parts have? Shouldn't you want to fix or improve those areas of fault or shortcomings? That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with wanting to fix our shortcomings.
Neither.
It's where the fixing comes from.
Right. That's exactly it. And it comes from, I do a lot of healing work with folks and help them move through the embodiment of healing emotional challenges, healing challenges in relationships. And what occurs so often is that thing that we want to fix does not want to budge or has a very hard time being fixed until we love it. We have to love it first. And loving it doesn't mean like, wow, I think this part of me is so awesome and I'm not going to change it. Loving it means acknowledging I am human. I am imperfect. I was created imperfectly. That is part of our design. And I can love and honor this part of myself that, maybe sometimes I get a little cranky in certain conversations, and I can acknowledge that. Say, okay, that is okay. And I want to work on it. And I would like to move this energy. But until we really sit in exactly what is present is perfect and we can want to change, when we can hold those both, we open ourselves up to rapid change and to really expansive change.
Period. Period. I just want to let you know that you're getting a lot of love in the chat, and they would like you. They would like me to be quiet and you to talk more. 1,000%. Yeah. How many people got triggered and were like, whoa, I'm perfect, or like the parts of me that I don't like, my shortcomings that I really want to fix, I actually need to love them before I can fix them.
It's sticky. It's hard to hold that.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something about the relationship that a lot of men have with women, which is that they want acceptance from women. I think a lot of guys and we want acceptance from men. This is not a one-way gendered relationship at all. But, a lot of my clients tell me, I really want my partner to desire me. I really want my partner to want to spend time with me. I want my partner to like really be effuse in her love for me. Right. And I think a lot of the times what we really want from a partner is stuff that we really feel like we are missing, which is why we want a partner to do it. And I think one of the reasons that guys struggle in their relationships to women is because they want to feel acceptance. I mean, even if you look at like sex itself, right? Like as a woman, you're accepting a man into your body.
Yeah.
There's not a greater acceptance. That is like capital A. I've accepted you.
You've been accepted.
You've been accepted. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece of it. And I think actually accepting the parts of us that we have trouble accepting is a big piece of where men can come into self-love.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And really the first step to it is like, maybe the idea of loving these sticky parts is really uncomfortable. That's probably not the best place to start if it feels that uncomfortable. But starting with acceptance of I am imperfect and that is perfect. And sitting with that and noticing what shows up in our body, how that makes us feel, and inviting ourselves to breathe a little more deeply into that feeling of acceptance of exactly how you are.
Do you want to lead them into breathing into that feeling?
Yeah. So let's do a little breathing together. If you are seated, I will have you plant your feet on the floor if you can, and just start to notice what it feels like from the ground up to be supported and held in your physical space. So if you're sitting, noticing what it feels like for your chair to be supporting your hips, the floor to be supporting your feet. If you're standing, you can just notice your feet on the ground. You can close your eyes for a second And take 3 breaths into that feeling of being physically supported by whatever structure is underneath you. And once we've grounded into that sensation of being physically supported, we can start to direct our attention to perhaps one of the things that's popped into your mind as we've thought about self-love, one of those sticky bits of yourself that is hard to hold. And seeing if we can bring this sensation of support to that part of ourself. This part of yourself is supported, it is accepted, it is loved, and it is a part of your imperfect, perfect human design. And maybe this feels really good for you. Maybe you notice yourself starting to relax and smile a little bit, but maybe this is challenging and uncomfortable. And that's actually the more common response to something like this is, whoa. I don't often direct my attention to that place in a loving way. And that discomfort is great. Discomfort is the sign that we are ready to create some change. So once we've offered this part of our self-support, we can say, okay, with love from a place of grounding, how would I like to shift this 1% in a more helpful direction? And if you still have your eyes closed, you can start to move your body a little bit, maybe squeezing your legs with your hands. Just notice how your body feels, and you can return to that practice. I recommend if this conversation is stirring something up in you, try that for a week, for a few breaths every day, and just notice what parts of yourself you see and you're able to witness.
The stickier, those parts. And I'd love for all of you to light up the chat and tell Jamie what a wonderful exercise that was. And I'm so glad that you had the experience of what it's like for Jamie to hold space for you. If it's not clear, she's magical. She's magical. And the reason that Jamie and I, and Jamie's partner, Yonatan, who she actually coaches with, so they're a male-female team, they're in a relationship and they do coaching, because she holds this kind of powerful space. And inside of that space, inside of a professional container, not like just a relationship container, but a professional one with a coach, having them create the environment so that it can be safe for you just to look inside, just to feel inside, just to breathe, really. Because I know y'all, and I know for myself, sometimes if I'm left to myself, I can come up with other things that are more important that I got to do. And when you have someone like Jamie or me as your coach or us together at our retreat in Mexico, we're going to hold such a profound container, an energetic container, a physical container. We're going to be in the same space together, in the same room together, and give you an opportunity to actually do that work in a way that feels safe. Because especially if you struggle with this, even that little exercise, even just that gentle exploration can feel overwhelming. And so I want you to pat yourself on the back, literally, like, give yourself a squeeze. You did so good. Thank you so much for giving yourself the gift of trying that. Let's see. Yeah, it's okay. This is just a first try. If that was hard for you or you didn't feel it, that's okay. It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie and I have a lot of experience. You have a lot of experience working with bodies.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I think if you're a subscriber to my channel, thank you, number one. Number two, you know that I talk a lot about I talk about sex in particular from like a heady intellectual space, even though we all know that's not where sex takes place. I mean, that's part of it, sure, but like it's really everything from here down. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that really works really well for the two of us and why we work so well together. But I think your exploration of the body and how you came to do so much somatic work is really inspiring.
Thank you. Do you want me to speak a little bit on that?
Please. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I love working with you because there's so much balance, and the things that we're talking about are exactly the same, but from really different vantage points. And you need both. We need to move things from the head down, and we also need to move things from the body up. The vagus nerve, which is responsible for fight or flight and is so responsible for being in a state that we're relaxed enough that we can feel excited about sex. Most of the communication actually happens from the body up to the brain. Less of it happens from the brain down. So what that means is as we change our embodiment of something, our thoughts change. We can change our thoughts in how we embody things.
Did you hear that? Because how many of us grew up believing the brain controls the body, and so the brain's like it's the control center, and that's that.
Mind over matter.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And what Jamie just said is that most of the communication comes from the body up to the brain. I think for those of you who just loved that exercise so much, and so many people just commented how powerful it was, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what did Jamie ask you to do? Like take a couple deep breaths, look inside of your body, and then like difference.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, please go on about yourself.
Thank you. And all of my whole career has been an exploration of the body. I actually began my career as a personal trainer and nutrition coach. And as I moved through that part of my career, I started to realize that there was this spiritual element to the changes we want to see in our body. And there was also this relational element to the changes we want to see in our body. So someone experiencing shoulder pain, it may be an injury. It may also be an emotional thing that we're holding in our shoulder. And so the questions I started asking were, okay, tell me about your home life. Tell me about your sex life. What's going on with your wife? How's your relationship with your mom? What is going on in your life? And it is so incredible how much those answers come back to the body, right? And so much of the change that we want to see in our body is actually not created through exercising it out or changing the way we eat. Some of it is, a big chunk of it is, and it's so important to take care of our bodies with food and with movement. And there is this emotional aspect. And so as my career has progressed, I started talking more and more to my clients about relationships. How do you relate to exercise? How do you relate to food? How do you relate to sex? How do you relate to women? How do you relate to men? And it evolved into relationship coaching and what I do now, and had this really beautiful progression into this space. And so I bring a lot of this embodiment work that I've spent my whole career building now into relationship space. We can talk about moving the body in a way that actually creates a more positive state in the brain. We can talk about doing things to move through an argument with more ease, to teach our bodies how to be in conflict with more ease, and how to be in a better state of self-love with movement, with pleasure, with what we're putting into our mouth, but also what we're consuming. What you're consuming right now is a loving, beautiful conversation. Your body digests that. When we consume stuff that's not, we also digest that and we hold those experiences in the body.
Thank you. That was and everything that she shared just then is based in science. This is not just like woo-woo fluff, two cute girls talking. This is science that is based in reality. Our bodies are the memory. Our bodies house our experiences. Our bodies are constantly trying to share information with us. And the example that Jamie gave of a pain in the shoulder, that's your body trying to get your attention, but it may not be trying to get your attention on your rotator cuff. Yeah. That might just be where it's showing up.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what's really cool is that as science emerges, like I came from science, right? Jamie came from working like literally with people's bodies, and I came working with the labs and like samples from people's bodies. Like,
we got the body and the brain.
Yeah. We came from it from different angles. We're meeting in the heart. We're meeting
right here.
Yeah. Jamie's helping me to get down into my body. I don't know if I'm helping you to get in. We're just expanding each other.
We're meeting at the heart.
We're just meeting at the heart. But this is increasingly being proven using the scientific method and scientific tools that are really showing us that our experience in the body is more than just this physical form. And I think more than anything, this is an important message that men need to get, because many of you, and I know this from my personal experience, my relationships, my marriage, will work harder at your body. Who here has who's an exercise routine? Who here lifts? Who here runs? Who here, when my body doesn't feel good or something doesn't feel good, I hit the gym twice as hard, I hit the gym twice as long, I just exert more. Men are really good at like finding it. I'm just going to exert more. I'll stay up later. I'll work harder. And maybe your gym is not the physical gym. Maybe your gym is the office, and you just hit the office that much harder. You hit the office earlier and stay later.
Yeah.
Right. But actually all of that is showing up in your physical body as well. Someone just said they hurt their right shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
There's
working out. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it comes direct to like the answer is really clear. It's you did this activity and this occurred in your physical body.
Right.
I'm not saying that there's not a relationship between those things. It's strong. That's our most apparent relationship
Mm-hmm.
with the body. But there is this massive relationship with emotion in the body. And something that's interesting is, folks who have chronic injury, often when we ask them, okay, when your back flared up, tell me about what was going on in your life at that
Mm-hmm.
time. Sure, you were probably lifting really heavy, but maybe you already have a workout routine and you were doing the same thing you do every Tuesday. Was there an argument that showed up that day? Are you having a hard time at work? Did you just get laid off? What is going on emotionally? And those things have a relationship, right? So it's taking a holistic view of our relationships, right? And in the same way that what we're consuming impacts our body, how our body is moving also impacts how we move through the world and how others see us and perceive us. Another really fun body thing that I think a lot of folks are not aware of is that, and to bring it back to that mind over matter thing, there is a hormonal response in the body based on our posture. So yes, if I'm sad, I will probably sit a little bit like this with my head down, right? We notice this, we see this, somebody's head is hung down. Okay, I'm probably not having a great day. Maybe I'm not having a great week. And we can wait for that day to change, for our posture to change. But there's also magic and science in rolling our shoulders back, taking a moment. Like if you notice that you're hunched right now, roll your shoulders back, reach the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Sit a little bit taller in your chair, brace your abdomen a little bit. The mood shifts just a little bit, but it shifts enough that it's noticeable. And so we can start to shift how we're moving through the world, and it shifts how we move through the world.
And by the way, men, this is relevant for testosterone levels too. And there was excellent research done a few years ago that your testosterone actually spikes when you hold a power pose. Just 2 minutes and you can have a different relationship with testosterone. And we live in a world where men have less testosterone than they have ever had. You, at your age, statistically likely have less testosterone that your dad did at his age. And I don't think that there's not one reason that this is happening, but certainly it may have something to do with us sitting hunched over at our computers for great periods of time.
And I just saw a comment pop in. Where is it? So people have to improve their posture rather than fixing the sadness that causes their slouch. No, you get to do both. You can do both. We have a responsibility to looking at both, but this is a little hack to make it easier, right? It is harder to work on my sadness when I'm not feeling empowered about it. When I give myself a little pickup and a little bit, like I'm rolling my shoulders back and I'm like, yeah, I'm worthy of looking at this thing and moving through this thing. And I'm capable.
And I can love myself.
I can
enough to do it.
Right. And so it just gives us a little boost to then look at the thing that is causing the sadness, because the root of our sadness is a real thing. And we get to, and we are responsible to also looking at that.
Yeah. And that is exactly what we just said. Like it exists in your body. Maybe your body's trying to let you know about the root of your sadness. Maybe you know what it is. You haven't addressed it yet. Maybe it's just as simple as asking, like, where can I love myself a little bit more, 1% more? And what does that make available for me to examine? If I allow myself to love myself, and if you take nothing away from us this evening, I would love for you to get just a little bit of permission to explore self-love. Yes, there will be a recording. Yes, this will be posted to YouTube. You can go back and watch and move and breathe with Jamie again when she led us through that exercise. That was just the tiniest sample of what Jamie does. We led a miniature retreat together yesterday. She held an entire hour of that kind of space. It was phenomenal. Every single person in the room, like, I was blown away. I get to spend a lot of time with this woman. We're very close. And I was completely blown away in that hour. I was like, what just happened? And if you would like to experience that, if you'd like to get coaching from both of us, if you'd like to experience the magic that we're creating together, we are throwing a retreat. We are doing in-person work. We have 2 spaces left for 2 couples. So if you are part of a couple, you don't have to be married. There's no prerequisite for how long you've been together or anything along those lines. If you are in a couple and you and your spouse, your partner or girlfriend want to come and work with us in person, and a third coach, Jamie's partner, Yonatan, and the support of an incredible team, we are going to be creating an incredible retreat. I'm going to put the link. It's an application-based retreat because it's limited to a number of folks, and we want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. It's limited to people who are in a relationship where we're convinced we can serve them. And in other words, this is not a retreat about, like, we're not just opening this retreat to everybody, because we want to make sure before you come and work with us in person that you're going to get the most out of it. And both of us, as a rule in our coaching practices, don't work with folks that we can't help, because for us, it's not about accepting money in exchange for time, right? It's like we're exchanging energy in exchange for change. We have some folks that are going to be there. Hello, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tabby and Liz.
So we have 2 spaces left, and the window is closing. The window of opportunity, if you want to join us in Mexico, our dates are March 28th through April 3rd. March 28th through April 3rd. We are going to be together in Tulum. Yeah. This is the first time that me, Caitlin V, has ever offered an in-person anything, truly. And the reason that I'm offering it is because Jamie and I had an incredible conversation a few months back, and it really dropped in for both of us that we needed to create something together. That the work that we have, the energy that we have between us, and the opportunity that we have to serve the world is too great for us to just do it behind a desk. As wonderful as this is, and as fantastic as it has been, and if this has been helpful for you and fantastic and you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you've enjoyed it. Hit that like button. That's helpful for us to know that you're digging this, and I know you have, because you've been so wonderful letting us know in the comments. But if you'd like to experience some of this, we do have an application. I've put that. It's a type form. The link is in the chat right now. If you want to learn more about Jamie, her brand is called Co-opetition Coaching. I've put her link in the chat as well. I'll throw it up there again. Maybe you don't want to come to the retreat, but maybe you're feeling called to work with Jamie and her partner, Yonatan. And if so, I recommend absolutely that you reach out to them. If you're on my email list, you may have already heard of them because I'm shouting them out all the time. Do you want to talk a little bit about your work and your work with Yonatan?
Yeah. So you get to meet 50% of Co-opetition Coaching today. I work along with my partner. He is my life partner, my business partner, my partner in joy and play and pleasure and all of the things. And truly, we came together and created our coaching business together because it felt so needed. And Yonatan holds this really powerful, masculine, grounded presence. And I offer a little more flow and play. And what we offer together as relationship coaches is really a lot of an expansion on what we did today, which is really embodiment of these things that help us feel better and move through the world better and accept more joy and pleasure. The root of our brand is really that pleasure is our guide and can be our guide. And we can live a life that is filled with pleasure, guided by pleasure. We are deserving of it. We actually don't have to earn it. We can have it right here, right now. You get to feel good. And you get to feel good in your relationships. And actually, when you feel good in your relationships and when we really nourish the relationship to ourselves and to our partner, the world benefits from it. Your world is better for the work that you do on yourself and the work that you do on your partnership.
And our world is better too.
Our world is much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your interior world, your exterior world, it is better for
The world
it.
as a whole is better when you do that work.
It
And
is.
one of my favorite things about their methodology and their modality is Jamie says this all the time, healing can be easy.
Yeah.
Healing can be easy. I know a lot of us invested in the self-development industry and the personal growth game are like, it has to be hard. Any firewalkers on here? Anyone walk on fire with Tony Robbins? Because it has to be hard. I walked on fire with Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. I'm just saying, like, if you told me back then that it could be easy, I may not have burnt my feet. It can be easy, and not that hard is wrong. I know a lot of guys in particular like challenge. Like masculinity loves to be pushed to its edge, and like you imagine. Men like to take physical risks. They actually enjoy doing things that are hard and physically challenging. And I invite you to remember that it also gets to be easy.
Yeah.
It also can be easy. And you can heal from a place that is easy.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Joel. Some former clients giving us lots of love.
Oh. And we get to remember that both are true, right? Yeah. I think we live in a world that has hardwired us to think that the only way to feel success and feel pleasure and feel joy and earn all of these things is that you have to earn it and that it has to be hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard, but we should reserve that energy for when it's hard, for when it actually has to be.
Yeah. Amen.
And there's actually a lot. I've seen folks move through things that have held them, trapped them for their entire lives in a moment with ease because they've invited it to be. They have allowed it to be easy, and they've made that shift in themselves that this doesn't have to be as hard as I'm making it.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so it gets to be easy. The healing gets to be easy, and we get to create profound change in a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And we're going to be together in Tulum, March 28th through April 3rd, making it easy for you to love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a gift.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Oh.
And making it a fun and pleasurable experience to move through this work. Yeah. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
So Jamie's brand, Co-Opetition Coaching. Boom, baby. It's in the chat. If you want to message her or shoot them an email, follow them on Instagram. They're active on there. She posts incredible stuff all the time. And as you can tell, this woman has a lot more than just what we've been able to scratch in our time together. She's helped me a lot with my own experience of my body and my movement. She's a very gifted guide and coach and teacher. And thank you so much for joining me here tonight on this live stream. Please show some love for Jamie in the chat. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this and found it to be helpful. And I've just thrown our retreat application. There are 2 spots left and the door is closing. As soon as these 2 last couples are in, that's it. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have an incredible time. You and your spouse, your partner, your girlfriend, join us in Mexico. Self-love, pleasure, and play are the themes of our retreat. Self-love, pleasure, and play. If that sounds like a phenomenal time to you, as it does to me, I'm like gripping your thighs. I'm telling you, it's
going to be a good time.
I'm so excited. Come join us in Mexico. And this will be recorded. This will be up. Say goodnight. It was great to see you, Louis. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks everyone for signing in.
Bye. Bye.